began. A 16-month-old toddler was found dead in her playpen, her body emaciated and surrounded by her own waste. The child, Jaylyn Candelario, had been left alone for over a week while her mother jetted off on a carefree vacation. But how could a mother abandon her baby to such a gruesome fate? The tragic tale of Jaylyn Candelario began on June 6, 2023, when her mother, 32-year-old Crystal Candelario, decided to embark on a 10-day getaway. Crystal packed her bags, walked out the door, and left her helpless daughter trapped in a filthy playpen with nothing but a few bottles of milk. As Crystal soaked up the sun on Puerto Rican beaches, little Jaylyn lay dying in her own excrement, her cries echoing through an empty apartment. But Crystal's neglect had started even earlier. Ring doorbell footage revealed that she had actually left Jaylyn alone for 2 days before her vacation officially began. On June 4th, Crystal drove to Taylor, Michigan, leaving her daughter unattended. She returned briefly on June 6th, only to depart again for her extended trip. As Jaylyn whimpered in hunger and thirst, her mother was boarding a Spirit Airlines flight ready to party with friends. While in Puerto Rico, Crystal snapped selfies on the beach and danced the night away, showing not a care in the world for the suffering child she'd left behind. Her social media posts depicted a woman having the time of her life, a stark contrast to the hell her daughter was enduring back home. Crystal's vacation itinerary included stops in Detroit and Puerto Rico, a whirlwind of fun while Jaylyn slowly wasted away. Back in the apartment, Jaylyn's desperate cries went unanswered. Neighbors reported hearing the child's screams, including one particularly haunting wail around 1 a.m., 2 days after Crystal's departure. But no one came to Jaylyn's rescue. Strangely, despite hearing her cries, nobody thought to intervene or at least knock on the door to see if anyone was home. Little Jaylyn was entirely alone. As the days dragged on, the toddler's body began to consume itself in a desperate bid for survival. Her tiny frame grew gaunt, her eyes sunken, her lips cracked and bleeding from dehydration. The playpen became a prison, the sheets soiled and reeking as Jaylyn lay helpless, her strength ebbing away with each passing hour. When Crystal finally returned on June 16th, she made a chilling discovery. Jaylyn's lifeless body lay in the playpen, her skin stretched taut over protruding bones. In a bizarre twist, Crystal's first action wasn't to call for help but to change Jaylyn's clothes, as if trying to cover up the extent of her neglect. Only then did she dial 911, her anguished screams captured on the recorded call. "Please, I need help," Crystal wailed to the dispatcher. "My daughter is dying." But it was far too late. Jaylyn had likely been dead for days. When authorities arrived, they were met with a scene of unimaginable horror. The stench of death and decay permeated the air. Medical examiners would later reveal that Jaylyn had lost a third of her body weight during her mother's absence, weighing less than 14 pounds at the time of her death. The medical examiner, Dr. Elizabeth Mooney, described it as one of the most tragic cases she'd ever encountered. "This child persevered, waiting for someone to save her," Dr. Mooney stated. "She died a horrible death, her body literally consuming itself in a desperate attempt to survive." For days, the toddler waited for her mother. At Crystal's sentencing, Mooney described the agony that Jaylyn would have endured, saying, "The pain and suffering she endured lasted not only hours, not days, but possibly even a week. This feeling of abandonment for days on end, coupled with the pain of starvation and extreme thirst, is a type of suffering I don't think any of us could ever fully fathom." As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered more disturbing details. Crystal had a history of mental health issues, including a suicide attempt earlier that year, but mental health struggles didn't explain the callousness of Crystal's actions. Even after discovering her daughter's body, she showed little remorse. The day after Jaylyn's death, Crystal returned to Detroit to visit a man she had been dating. When questioned by police, she spun a web of lies, claiming she had been home all week and that Jaylyn had simply been refusing to eat. She was throwing up Tuesday and Wednesday, Crystal told detectives, her story already falling apart. Then she was with no food, just with a meal because she was refusing. But Ring camera footage and airline records told a different tale, one of a mother who had abandoned her child without a second thought. As the case went to trial, more horrifying details emerged. prosecutors revealed that Crystal had been living a double life, presenting herself as a devoted mother, while secretly indulging in wild parties and romantic affairs. Her defense team argued that she suffered from untreated mental illness, but the evidence of her calculated actions was damning. In a heart-wrenching moment during the trial, Sergeant Teresa Gomez of the Cleveland Police Department broke down as she described the case. "This is one that will be branded in our minds and hearts forever," she said. "This 16-month-old baby was left alone to fend for herself for 11 days with no food, maybe milk, the clothing she had on, and the diaper she was wearing." The judge, visibly shaken by the evidence, didn't mince words during sentencing. "You committed the ultimate act of betrayal," he told Crystal, "leaving your baby terrified, alone, unprotected to suffer what I heard was the most gruesome death imaginable." During the sentencing, Candelario told the court that she prayed for forgiveness every day, that she believed God and Jaylin had forgiven her, and although her actions were not justified, she told the court that no one understood what she was going through. It was a callous, remorseless statement that shocked everyone in the room. Crystal Candelario was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after pleading guilty to aggravated murder. As she was led away in handcuffs, the courtroom was left to grapple with the senseless tragedy of Jaylin's death. But questions still linger. How could a mother abandon her child so callously? What drives a person to prioritize their own pleasure over the life of their helpless infant? And perhaps most chillingly, how many other children might be suffering in silence, their cries unheard behind closed doors? The case of Jaylin Candelario serves as a grim reminder of the darkest aspects of human nature. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about parental neglect and the devastating consequences of unchecked mental illness. As Jaylin's tragic tale fades from the headlines, we're left with a chilling realization. The darkness of human depravity knows no bounds, and as long as society turns a blind eye, more children will undoubtedly meet Jaylin's gruesome fate.